What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about how one night, one incident with law enforcement could have cost me my freedom. Now, some people don't realize that when you're on parole and you're fresh out of prison, you can accidentally be involved in certain situations that send you right back to prison, unknowingly or knowingly. It happens so easily, and a lot of people go back to prison on technical violations. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has served time in prison, and my entire crazy life story is in the description box down below. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my podcast and my vlog channel. I am also a proud partner with Groups Recover Together. Their treatment model strongly lands on harm reduction. They're 420 friendly and just an amazing team of people. I will leave my website and my hotline number with them linked down below. They're available in 12 states, and I don't think it gets much better. Groups offers both online and in-person therapy. All right, without further ado, let's kick this thing off. I'm just kidding. So this story takes place in 2014. I had not been out of prison for that long, maybe a few months or so, and I found myself in a pretty crappy situation. So I was living at a halfway house when I first got released because I had nowhere to go. I had no friends or family in Northwest Arkansas, and I had to go to this halfway house. Well, this halfway house charged me $100 a week to live there, and even though it took me a couple weeks to get a job, a couple weeks to get a paycheck, that wasn't that much money, those 4 weeks I was still being charged for living there. So no matter what I did, I was behind on my rent the entire time I stayed at this halfway house because I just couldn't afford it. Now keep in mind, I have to pay the halfway house $100 a week. I have to pay parole $45 a month. I have to get a phone. I have to get sneakers because all I have are prison shower shoes. I have to get clothes. I have to somehow find a way to save money to get a car. I have to get an apartment. I have to do all of these things, but the halfway house is taking $400 a month from me, and it's just impossible to save up for a down payment on an apartment with working a minimum wage job. My minimum wage job turned into 2 minimum wage jobs. So I was working 2 jobs, but it did take me a few months to get that second job. So I realized that this halfway house was just costing me so much money because I'm behind and I can't keep up, and it's just so hard to save money. Even though I was trying to save money, it wasn't gonna happen. A friend of mine offered me to stay at her house, and this is a house that multiple people lived in. It was a nice house, and a boyfriend and a girlfriend stayed in one of the rooms. I was in one room, another person was in the other room. So it's a nice house. This works for now. They were not charging me rent, and I really appreciated that. This was just kind of a band-aid, and I was just trying to save up money so that I could get my own apartment. And everyone knew my situation, and my friends were like super nice about it. Now these are new friends that I have met through work. They are not friends that I've known a long time. They're new friends. Well, this one girl that was living in this house asked me one night, do you want to go to the casino? Now, I don't have money to go to the casino, but I know that from the minute I've come home, I have just been working. I have been working now 2 jobs. I've been going to meetings. I've been going to therapy, hair follicle drug testing, parole, visitation with my daughter, which was 4 hours away, and I'm working so hard. So I'm an introvert, and that's okay. I'm working so hard, having no fun, doing absolutely nothing, and just working and going home, working and going home, going to all my appointments and going home. There was not one time where I did anything fun, and she started to recognize that. Like, I didn't have any friends, I didn't go anywhere, I just went to work and came home. She's like, just come out with us, just have a good time, have some fun with us, let's go, girl, let's go to the casino. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go to the casino. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I knew that I shouldn't have gone. Like, I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't go. Like, just leave, you know, or tell her that you can't, or you're too tired, or make up some excuse. You have diarrhea, anything. Introverts will do anything to not have to go and be social. So I'm like, just say anything, but I was like, okay, I'll go. Every ounce of my being was like, abort mission. Make up some excuse. But I went anyway, and we got to the casino, and we hung out for a little while, played the slots a little bit, you know, and we decided to leave. Well, at the casino, my roommate picked up someone else along the way and another friend at the casino. So now I'm on my way back to my house. I think we're going back to the house. And there's a couple people in the car that I don't know. I've never met them before in my life. Couldn't tell you their names if you had a gun to my head. Not a single clue. And I just want to go home. Well, now it's like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night and we get pulled over. The cop hits the lights and I am in a full-blown panic, and I announce to the car, I am on parole. And no one seems bothered by that at all. Everyone else is a little too occupied because my roommate is like, where's that stuff? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Now I have no knowledge of anyone having any kind of stuff that they shouldn't have. None. I don't know what they have been doing, because I know I don't have any stuff. I know I'm dead sober. I know that I didn't see them exchange anything. I didn't see a deal, and I'm just completely oblivious to this. Now, I shouldn't be oblivious to this because I have just lived almost 10 years in that lifestyle. I shouldn't have been oblivious to it, but I was. I was, you know, almost 3 years sober at this point, and just like, I don't know, just blind, just so oblivious to it. I am trapped in my own head and my own thoughts, and like I thought I was just gonna have a good time, and I've been working really hard, and I just completely missed all of that. I missed every single sign that something wasn't right, except for my gut. You know, my gut was like, you shouldn't go with them, but I didn't see any deal go down. So as soon as I heard her say, you got that stuff, like, where's that stuff? The girl in the passenger seat, I'm in the back seat. She's like, yeah, no, it's okay. I got it. I'll do this. I'll stuff it. And I'm like, oh God, we're stuffing things. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like I'm starting to sweat. I'm freaking out. I'm so nervous because this one night could have cost me everything. Cop comes up to the window and she gives him, you know, her ID, and it's just a regular traffic stop at this point. He says, one of your taillights is out. Now I want to strangle her. Now I just want to crawl under the carpet of the car because everything in my body knows, like, you don't drive dirty, first of all, and you never drive dirty with a freaking taillight out, because tiny mistakes like that will cost you your freedom. So I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I get in this car? And I'm like, just probably shaking and scared. So the cop takes her ID, runs it back to the back of the car, and she goes, I'm on parole too. I've lived with you for a few weeks now and you didn't mention that you're on parole, but that's how Arkansas is. Arkansas is super like sketch in the fact that I've never seen a parole officer outside of that parole office. They never did a home visit on me. They never even looked at my house. I've never once seen a PO outside of that parole office. New York is a very different ballgame. New York, they will knock on your door at 2 o'clock in the morning and do sweeps where they search your house at 2 a.m., wake everyone up, and it's a whole scene. New York parole is very strict and very, very different. Arkansas, they're like, hey, you got a meth lab in the basement?
No.
You promise?
Yeah, bro, I promise.
Okay, you're good to go. Like, that's parole in Arkansas. No one cares. So when she says that to me, now I am in a car with someone on parole. I am on parole. That's a huge no-no in the state of New York, although I do think they have changed the parole guidelines since I've been there. But now in my New York head, I'm in a car with someone else on parole, and I'm in a car with someone that has drugs. I'm going back to jail if they search this car. I know that I am. I'm so in trouble here. Well, the cop comes back to the car and, you know, he kind of shines the flashlight on everyone and he hands her back her ID and registration and says, get your taillight fixed. Get your taillight fixed. Bless you, sweet officer. And I'm just like, I am shocked. I'm shocked that he let us go. And I'm so excited and I'm so happy and I'm not going to jail and we can drive away. And you would think that's where the story ends. Oh no. No, we're in Fayetteville at 11 o'clock at night. I don't know if you've ever been to Fayetteville, Arkansas. It kind of dies down. You know, it's not a city that stays open all night long. It's not like New York. You know, there's not that many cars on the road. We're not the only car on the road at 11 or at this point, maybe midnight. But, you know, we're in a hoopty. So we're in a hoopty, moving on. We're in a hoopty with a taillight out. Okay, so maybe 5 minutes later, We're driving down this road, we're almost to our house, and we get pulled over again and the cop hits the lights. Now I am all again in full panic mode, but my driver here, my roommate, is like, oh, don't worry about it. He gave us a fix-it ticket. Now she's like, don't worry about it. He gave us a fix-it ticket. We should be good to go. Like, they're not gonna search the car. The first cop didn't search the car, but I'm like, yeah, but this is a different scenario. This is a different stop. This is a different cop. So I'm full blown in panic mode again. Again, just terrified that I'm going back to jail. There's no way I can explain this to anyone. People would just naturally assume that I knew that there was dope in the car and naturally assume that I intended to use it. No one's going to believe that I did not know there was drugs in the car as somebody with multiple drug convictions currently on parole for a drug conviction. No one's going to believe me that I didn't know. I'm sure there are people watching this video that don't believe me, but that's just how it happened, you know? So again, we get pulled over again. She explains the situation and he let us go. And I just couldn't believe that that happened so back to back. From that moment on, I did not go anywhere with anyone. No one. The only time I rode with anyone was on a visit with my daughter, and I drove with her aunt, and who was amazing. Shout out to you. You know who you are. I love you to death. I didn't drive with anyone that could even possibly have a blemish on their record. I don't want to get in the car with you if you've ever had a parking ticket at this point. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm gonna check your car, make sure there's no taillights out, and then eventually I did save up money, and I was able to buy my first car, which is a toaster box car. But you have to be so careful when you're out on parole, because something as innocent as that was for me, I was completely unaware that there was dope in the car. As innocent as that was for me, that could have cost me my freedom. That could have been a parole violation. That could have cost me custody of my daughter. Even though I could pass a drug test, I wasn't using or selling any drugs. Try convincing a judge of that, you know? And that realization hit me so hard, and from that point on, I was so scared. I was so scared and so careful, and nope, you don't need to have a good time, Jessica. You spent all your fun coupons in your old life. You are done with that. You're gonna have fun at Chuck E. Cheese now. You better sit down. You better sit all the way down and never get in a car with somebody, especially two people that you don't even freaking know, you know? So I told my daughter's aunt kind of the situation that was going on, and my daughter's aunt and her uncle let me move in with them until I got my first apartment. And this was very briefly, but I was able to save up money to afford my apartment because that halfway house was just, oh my God, it was torture. I was spending so much money, and I knew that I couldn't stay in a house where I don't really know the traffic and I don't really know the people, and I had just met these people, and it's a bad situation. So I moved out of there and moved in with my daughter's aunt and uncle for a pretty short time, a month, maybe two, right? And that was such a blessing to me because I was able to save up the money for my apartment. And you guys know the story. I got my daughter back. I'm making this video for two reasons. One, be careful when you get out. Be careful. Be that person that's like, I'm not getting in that car with you unless I see your driver's license, and I'm not getting in that car with you if you have a taillight out, or no one's riding dirty here. You know, like, be mindful of your circle. Be mindful of who you spend your time with when you first get out of prison, because these tiny little mistakes can cost you your freedom. And I'm also making this video to let you guys know that I did get help in the beginning, and that's okay. My daughter's belongings, when I first came home, they were donated from people that I worked with. Clothes and shoes and toys and books were donated to me from coworkers. I will never forget that kindness, because if it wasn't for them, my daughter wouldn't have had clothes when she came home. I was literally overdrafting my gas just to be able to see her. So that first year, 2 years, 3, it was a struggle. I'm so grateful that I was able to overcome all of those obstacles, but it shouldn't be that hard to get your life together. Working minimum wage jobs is very difficult to save up money to get an apartment, and people don't want to rent to felons, and people don't want to hire felons, and we shouldn't be releasing people from prison with no ID. Arkansas didn't give me ID. With no shoes, you know, no resources. And it becomes very, very difficult, you know, to get back on your feet. And the harder we make it for people to reintegrate into society, the more people will go back to prison. I'm gonna end today's video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Be careful if you're on parole or otherwise. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you, because there's no wrong way to recover. And I will see you guys in my next one.